bought a motor. Bought pull-overs for all four cars, all the new suspension. Been a lot of money.
I go to Fairmount a lot. Yes, I'm on the board for the Wesleyan Campground. Yeah.
No, that's what you
Met my wife there, got married there in the Tabernacle.
they flat out. You don't have I got stay.
You knew or you big?
So we didn't have very many meetings. And then the next year, I switched to somebody else. So
Well, you're new this go round.
yeah.
Right, you're back.
I gotta catch up.
Yeah. Boy, lots happened since 2020.
Oh yeah.
I know what it means.
I get it.
Watched about 15 hours of the meeting for this crazy thing.
I haven't had time to.
I have a job working with some things in the background.
You need the affidavit for today's public hearing. This is the affidavit. There you go. Show it.
I'm passing to him, right?
Yes. They told me that these mics are powerful enough. It's just for online, but we can just talk ahead. It doesn't project us. They said their secretary will get mad if we lean in and talk to him.
Your replacement work.
Who else is out there? The guy who's running the sign-in sheet going around the room.
Does he work for you? One work?
You're not
His experience. So you recommend it?
Does it have anything to do with somebody gets in there?
Well, no one else last time.
I'm the first.
So we need to sign after the fact then.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to read through one of these papers? What all that?
I think it's everybody.
Fine, just leave us out at the beginning.
You trained him well.
Tyson. Still missing Tyson.
Yes, and they are wet and dated. Yes. I accidentally put it in. Yeah. My bad. I'm glad I have time to think what I do. I have time to think this time.
And this doesn't, I haven't seen that in there. That's why I say it's pretty good.
I'm tutoring extra. Grandkids and everything.
I don't have his phone number. I got it down.
It's competition. Instead of being this competition, I'll get support for it.
I talked to him today when he signed his affidavit. I said, see you tonight. I said, okay. We just make a note. If he comes in late, we just note showed up at.
6:56.
I live in Van Buren on the west end, and I've seen them out in the old village around that lake.
You see two of them flying like thumbers.
Unbelievable how big they are.
Yes, sir. Things were gonna get spicy there. You said something this morning. I guess it was Saturday. Was it right? Yeah. Keep on going. He was about to get in here. Yeah. I should have chosen. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Probably.
Yes,
I'll tell you.
me too. Especially coming back from Florida.
Yeah, oh, you did it, folks. Yeah.
I still have.
Oh, yeah.
I come back to eat three, it's like it was when I left.
You could actually, Mr. Stewart, if we want to switch, just in case Knuckles comes in late.
That's okay.
That way he can sneak in and he's not going around. We can swap, but
Whatever.
it'd probably be better.
Okay.
That way in case he comes in late, we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, he can sneak in over here.
Leave those there, yeah. No, oh. This one's for sure. That's the only thing different.
Start tearing up, they just can
Forgot, yeah.
stick together.
One more minute,
I haven't seen you in a long time.
not less.
Oh, yeah, how are you?
See Tyson.
That's right. I still work there, but.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
This is TSWDG.
I don't know that they've given us an official statement. They're providing.
Try to put this thing down, still wants to halfway stay up. Yeah, I saw him on there.
At the very beginning.
7 o'clock.
All right, we'd like to call the 8th Grant County Area Planning Commission meeting to order February 5th. I'd ask that you silence your cell phones, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have 4 new members on the Area Planning Commission, and I would like to introduce them. We have Clayton Soltz, we have Karen Pullman, we have Commissioner Ron Stewart, and we have Steve Kelly. And just for introductions, I would like for everybody to go around and on the panel here, or the commission, and just kind of tell us who you are and who you represent. We can start with Katie.
Hi, Hi, I'm Katie Cable, I'm code enforcement officer.
Nicole Bailey, your building inspector.
Ryan Malott, the director for area plan.
Clayton Soltz, representative from Jonesboro City Council.
Karen Poland, representative from Fairmount Town Council.
Ron Stewart, County Commissioner.
Randy Atkins, Grant County Council representative.
Steve Kelly, Sweetser. John Pearson, citizen of Jonesboro.
Frank Hicks, County Council.
Jim Todd, County Surveyor. Bob Bothwell, Superintendent's representative.
Jerry Cottle, Van Buren Town Council.
David Glickfield, attorney.
Thank you. Mr. Glickfield, would you like to give oath of office to our new members?
I will, and just so everybody knows, Mr. Stewart got his executed earlier, so he's good to go. So I need Ms. Poland, is it Poland or
Poland.
Poland?
It's a long O, yeah.
Mr. Soltz and Mr. Kelly, if you'd quickly rise and raise your right hand. Do you each solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and that you will faithfully, impartially, and diligently discharge the duties of the office of the Area Plan Commission of Grant County, Indiana, according to law and the best of your ability? Clayton?
I do.
And Steve?
I will.
Very good, thank you. I would also suggest, just for our bookkeeping, Ryan will have these. I know you need to get your signature notarized. Terrace Street in the health department on the first floor right behind us. If you just stop in here sometime during the day, she'll be happy to notarize for you. I also have a notary at my law office, which is on the square. If you need, we're open from 8:30 to 5. I can have my notary also notarized for any of you if you guys need it, if you can't make it here by 4. Okay?
All right, with that being said, I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Bothwell?
Yep.
Cottle?
Yeah.
Hicks?
Yes.
Hunt? Kelly?
Yes.
Nevers? Knuckles?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Poland?
Yes.
Soltz?
Here.
Stewart?
Here.
Todd? Atkins?
Yes. Okay, item 4 on the agenda, completion of elections. We do have an executive committee that we establish here with the Area Planning Commission. Now, one thing that I think, if we're going to go, Ryan, help me with this, the 2 at-large members, this would be under the new proposed rules and procedures.
Right.
We haven't adopted those yet, so if we want to use this, then do we need to make a motion or have some action taken to say that we're going to work away from the current rules and procedures since the new ones haven't been adopted?
Past rules would call for 1 at large.
David, how do you suggest we do that?
Well, you're currently operating under the old rules. The new rules have not been passed. If it's your desire to have 2 at large as opposed to 1, you said, Ryan? Right. Then I do believe a motion would be appropriate, that for the executive committee, that it is the desire of the plan commission to have 2 at-large members as opposed to the 1.
Can we just amend the agenda to move the elections after the point at which the rules of procedure may be adopted?
It won't be finalized today.
Oh, okay.
The rules and procedures will not have final today.
Right, and that's why I suggested that way.
Mr. Atkins, this was done a year that Mr. Reedy brought it up and it was voted on to go from the old rules that we're talking about where it was 1 member to go to 6 total members and have 2 elected at large.
So what?
That's already been acted upon a year ago.
Okay.
We've never recorded, because we were still working on, we've never recorded it.
You did, but that is what we
Yes.
practiced, right?
And then from there, we actually let Mr. Todd off later on in our rules. It was voted on, but, I mean, a lot of what we've got was voted on. We haven't recorded it because we haven't.
Okay, so I think I want to follow Mr. Glickfield's recommendation, and if somebody would want to make a motion for us to move towards this.
Yeah, move towards 2 at-large members on the executive committee as opposed to 1 that's currently in the rules.
So moved, Mr. President.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Cottle. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Franks. Roll call, please.
Bothwell,
Question before we do that, who are the permanent members?
President, Vice President, Council, and Commission.
Yes. Aye.
Cordell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Soltz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, is there criteria before we go into nominations for these two at-large members?
It's got to be a member of the APC, I believe.
Okay, so we'll open the floor for motions to nominate. We'll do these one at a time, right? Okay.
I nominate Mr. Bothwell.
Okay, we have a motion for Bob Bothwell from Jerry Cottle. We have a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Hicks. Roll call vote?
Bothwell,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes. Yes, sorry.
Soltz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Do we have a second nominee?
I would nominate Mr. Cottle.
Okay,
Be here sometime.
Mr. Bothwell's nominating Jerry Cottle. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Frank Hicks seconds. Roll call vote?
Bothwell,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Soltz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, item 5, minutes. Approval of the minutes, December 18th, 2023. Please take a look if anyone has any corrections they'd like to submit. I will comment that in talking with Brian and the staff, I suggested that maybe we condense the minutes a little bit to more of just the actions that are taken, as that's been recommended by one of the commission members. And I think that is apparent here.
Are you looking for a motion for approval, or are you going to do them separately or together?
Should we do them separately?
Separately.
All right. Looking for a motion for the minutes of December 18th. Approval?
You got one exception, they got me written down as Jim instead of John.
We were going to get that fixed once, didn't we?
They talk about it, but
Okay, so that's probably why that one's still here. Okay, under roll call vote number 2, we need to change Jim to John. Anyone want to make a motion to approve with that change?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Cottle, do we have a second?
second it.
Second by John Pearson. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell,
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Cordell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
We didn't vote if we weren't here.
Got him there. Okay, that was in,
You can. A lot of times they don't. You can.
I know at ours we can't, so that's why.
Schultz,
Abstain.
Stewart,
Abstain.
Todd,
Abstain.
6 yeses.
This was the 18th, is where it was wrong. You have to, yeah, that's where we're at. It's usually the majority of those voting.
We have to have seven
So we need
before we
Randy.
pass. So we need Randy to move it.
Mr. Atkins, we need you.
Okay,
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses, 4 abstains.
yes.
It passes.
Okay, January the 8th. I can review those.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
That motion was by Mr. Rothwell, second by Mr. Cottle. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland, Schultz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Abstain.
Todd,
Yes.
passed.
Okay. All right, item number 6, new business, public hearings. Ryan, would you fill us in on that, please?
Sure. For our first one, this is going to be a public hearing for the comprehensive plan. This is Mr. Mike Klein-Peter. He has been leading us through the grant process, and he has a presentation for us tonight on it. We also have Scott, is it
Seeker.
Seifer, who is from Taylor, Seifer, and Williams. Our scoring committee got together and put together scoring cards. They put, their choice was, I forget,
Taylor, Seifer, Williams.
Mike spoke to them, they did accept. Scott is online, Scott
Yep, Scott Skeefer.
Seifer is online for any
Good
questions
evening.
that you might have.
Hello, Scott.
But Mike's going to do a presentation.
So good evening, APC members and public. My name is Mike Klein-Peter with Klein-Peter Consulting Group. I'm the Oker Certified Grant Administrator that's assisting the county for our grant application to the Indiana Office of Communities and Rural Affairs. Notice for this public hearing was posted in the Chronicle Tribune on January 24th. Ryan has a copy of that affidavit with him today if anybody needs to see it. We are applying specifically for a comprehensive planning grant from the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs in the amount of $60,000. The county will be contributing $7,500 from the general fund only if the grant gets awarded. If the grant is not awarded, the county will not spend that $7,500. A comprehensive plan will look at 13 different areas to lay out a vision and future for the county. It'll have input from the Plan Commission, from members of the public. There'll be a series of public events held, inviting the public to come to give their input on what they want to see in the county over the next 10 years. Some of the topics are public facilities, placemaking, economic development, housing, transportation, agriculture, parks and recreation, and broadband access. We put out a request for qualifications. 3 firms responded that were interested in doing this comprehensive plan. American Structure Point, HWC, and Taylor Seifer Williams. The scoring committee met, heard presentations by all of them, and asked questions. Taylor Seifer Williams was the firm that received the highest score through that process. We plan on submitting an application on February 16th, which is next Friday. Award announcements for the grant will be on March 14th. With that, I'll answer any questions from the public. I've got Scott Seifer with me as well, and for a phone a friend in case I don't know any answers, and Ryan as well.
Commission members, any questions?
Are we running this as a regular public hearing where we have 10 minutes or 15 minutes and rebuttals, that sort of thing? So this should be done that way.
Okay,
Yes.
so Mike would be considered the petitioner, correct? Or who is the petitioner?
It would be those in favor, basically, would have 15, those opposed 25,
Okay,
and then any rebuttals 10.
okay. So we open up to the public?
We are the
Yeah,
petitioner, right?
yeah, he is here for us.
Okay,
It's area plan presenting this
okay.
to them, so, right?
So we want to open this up to the public?
Yeah. And one other thing I would note, if we do not get the grant, Mr. Kleinpeter does not get paid. So it is contingent on us getting the grant money. So he's been working extremely hard for us, doing a great job.
Am I supposed to state my name in that?
Please.
Cale Grindle, Jonesboro. Multiple things I'd like to see put in this is we've got a lot of very passionate farmers around here who absolutely do not want solar on farm ground. So what we would like to see is we've got a lot of very good prime farm ground in Grant County, and we want to make sure that that farm ground stays farm ground. We would not like to see a favorable, what am I trying to say? We don't want to see any sort of favoritism for any sort of solar installations in the county. And definitely, protections for that farm ground for drainage, soil containment or contaminants, water contaminants, that kind of stuff.
Anyone else?
Michael Duke, Marion. As gentleman indicated that there would be a number of events for soliciting input from the public. The question I have is going to be kind of multiple. How many events are there? When would they be timed? Will the grant application you're writing make provision for that time and the expense of those public meetings? And then after those input sessions that I believe you're referring to, I know that I've worked with comprehensive plans before in a prior life. They're rather detailed explanations of the various aspects of a comprehensive plan that any county or community would have. How many public hearings would be planned on for public input once the comprehensive plan document has been written and available for public review? And how would that mechanism be described in the grant application? That being my question, would I need to clarify that any, or would you please address that, sir?
The Okra grant process requires 2 public hearings, one tonight. Then once we get the grant awarded, contracts will be signed with Taylor Seifert Williams to do the plan. And then once the plan's completed, it gets sent to Okra. It makes sure it meets all the minimum technical requirements. That's what's, you've got that there in front of you. It's got draft written on it. But Okra checks to make sure it meets all the minimum technical requirements. And then it'll come back for a second public hearing at that time. Regarding how many public events, Scott, I'm going to need you for that on what's typical for number of events, and I know you also do some online stuff as well.
Sure. Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so typically in terms of kind of the outreach and community involvement component, we would do at a minimum 2 public workshops, sometimes a third, but at a minimum 2. One would be in kind of the beginning phase of the project where it would be more of the vision and issue identification stage. And then one other outreach open house workshop community event once recommendations are drafted and a chance for the public and community to provide some input and feedback in reaction to those draft versions. Concurrently to that, we also usually do some digital outreach. So we can, once we kind of finalize our communications plan, we usually do a couple different things. At a minimum, we'll do a couple of surveys. So for folks that maybe could not come or participate in the in-person sessions, we'll do online surveys, again, at those basic milestone points. We also typically either create an independent project website or kind of partner with, in this case, the county website, and on the Area Plan Commission tab, can create some online presence there as well. So those kind of things will be worked out when we finalize the sort of the communications plan. In addition, we work with a steering committee throughout the process and meet regularly. So that steering committee will typically consist of 8 to 12 stakeholders, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less, but we'll work with the staff to identify kind of the appropriate makeup and cross-section of the steering committee. So again, it has a good sort of representation. That group, again, in terms of kind of communication and outreach, will meet regularly as we're going throughout the process. And then, as Mike mentioned, at the end of the kind of the process, OKRA does review the draft. Following that, we'll do kind of that second public hearing with the APC here. At that time, then typically there is a 2-week, give or take, period where the draft is available for public review, comment, what have you. So it's not at all finished by any means. If there are some things that need to be added or adjusted at that point, we certainly can do that. Then the second time we come back with the APC then would be just a kind of a update in terms of this was sort of what was heard from any of the kind of public input during that review period. This is the adjustments that were made. And then they would typically make a favorable recommendation, which then would move the next meeting then to the county commissioners and for their adoption to then formally adopt the new plan as the Grant County Comprehensive Plan. Collectively, that all the kind of the meetings, the outreach, the sort of the process, we usually plan for a roughly a 10-month timeframe horizon. And so once we get started, as Mike kind of mentioned there, the sort of the timeline would be after the grant award and release of funds there sometime in the spring, we would start the project, and then typically plan on all those activities happening in the next give or take 10 months. So hopefully that provides you some context regarding multiple opportunities in a variety of different scales of kind of outreach and community conversation.
Any other questions for Scott? Anyone in the audience?
Hi, I'm Andy Ellis. I'm from Fairmount, 8320 East Jefferson Place, and I guess you're taking input. So I would like to at least have it documented that that any land use should go through proper zoning boards through our BZA process. And there shouldn't be any way that it should have a back door, if you will, where individuals or specialized groups or the commissioners per se would have the ability to deviate from that and go ahead and approve. I mean, the BZA has approval processes through pretty much everything that we do, so to make sure that we are using land appropriately. And we should make sure that we maintain that and not have special exceptions so that we just work around them. So at the end of the day, they're the ones that really are supposed to determine the zoning on how it's done in the county. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
Jackie Sheets, Southern Grant County. Could you please go over that list again that you mentioned so that we can go a little slower so I can write all that down? And I would like to make sure that the drainage tiles in our fields are well protected. That is very important for our drainage. So drainage tiles.
Mike, I'm going to have Ryan post the criteria for the Okra grant on the APC website. It's not on there. You, the commission members, you have that draft, and that's the draft that those of us who were on the selection committee had as well.
Okay, the 13 topics. Public facilities and services, placemaking, and that's broken into 3 categories: community wellness, culture, and education. Economic development, housing, transportation, agriculture, natural resources, parks and recreation, broadband access, historic and archaeological resources, government and fiscal capacity, land use, and hazard mitigation. Those are the 13 specific chapters of this plan that'll be put together.
Now, Mike, is there any timeline in regard to the completion of the comprehensive plan in order to qualify for this OPER grant?
So once we're awarded the OCR grant, we typically have about 12 months to be complete. So that's why Scott was saying it takes about 10. Typically at the end, once we send them the plan, OCR has 60 days to review. Sometimes they're a little backed up and they take 90 days, but typically it's about a year from start to finish.
Now, is that a proposal or is that a final approval?
So OCR wants it done within a year, final approval.
Approved by everybody that needs to approve it?
Correct. In reality, sometimes they're at the end the ones stopping the final approval because we can't give final approval until OCR does first.
Is there any variations of that by any means in the event that?
Sure. I mean, during COVID, we had a lot of variations where these things just ran long because the public input couldn't be done. OCR just wants to see that this plan is moving forward, the public's engaged. If something happens in the community that slows it down, they have allowed extensions for that. You just don't want it to drag on too long. Scott, anything you want to add there?
No, I think that's fair. We see on occasion, if there's some delays in their review, then maybe it goes past that 12-month mark, but it's typically never the entity. So for instance, it wouldn't be ours or the county's issue that's hopefully the holdup. The holdup is always then at the state, so if it goes past that, then obviously they work with us and that usually isn't an issue. But we try to do all of our kind of outreach, committee work, draft recommendations, etc., and get that all in that, sort of that 10-month horizon, knowing that we try to get it under that year so we can still get that review and the approval from the state prior to that 12-month time frame.
I do have a public hearing sign-in sheet I'm going to pass around the room. It doesn't mean you're for or against anything. It's just as part of the grant application, I have to include a sign-in sheet as one of the required forms. So I have 2 that are going to be going around. If you'd be so nice to sign, I would appreciate it.
Did you get the letters you needed, Mike?
I have not. I've been working with Ryan. So OCR wants to see that this comprehensive plan has public input, public engagement. They want to make sure that the county wants this to go forward, wants to have input on what the vision is over the next 10 years. So with that, I'm allowed to include up to about 7 letters of support or letters that say, hey, I really think it'd be great if we could look at our parks, or whatever area that I listed out of those 13 that might interest you. If you could send us an email or a handwritten note or something to include in our application, that would just help strengthen our application to make us more likely to get funded. Ryan, can your office collect those? Okay. So email those to Ryan. It could be just a simple paragraph that says, my name's John, I live at West 10th Street. I'm in favor of looking at land use, or I'm in favor of looking at parks. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or long, just a paragraph or 2 is all.
Did you mention the amount of this grant?
The amount of the grant is $60,000.
What email address should people send those to, Brian?
Armalot at Grant County That's also available on the website.
Now, that's a matching grant, correct, Mike?
Yes, that is a matching grant, and that's why the county's putting up $7,500 contingent upon getting the grant award of $60,000.
Other questions from the audience?
Are we, who all, government-wise, who all is being involved in the discussion for this? Commissioners, APC, is there anybody else?
We've hired a company to collect the information, and then that will be, you guys help me if I'm out of bounds here, but we're going to collect the information from the various entities in the county, and that will be compiled, and then that will come to the APC, and will we have public hearings throughout the process? These are all public meetings, trust me. We have a mission of transparency and serving the people of Grant County. That's our mission in the APC, so these will be public meetings. Scott, help me with that.
So as I mentioned, we typically will, and I don't know if internally you've already identified maybe a working group or a steering committee. We would typically give some suggestions in terms of kind of a cross-section representation and kind of invite that group to, sort of participate and kind of be that leadership review group. And then the other activities I mentioned, like the public workshops or obviously the online outreach, what have you, all of that is obviously open to the public. Once a draft is created, the public hearing and review comment, all of that is open for public review and comment, and then it would go to the APC here for that favorable recommendation to the commissioners for adoption. I do believe, and Ryan can help me, I know when we discussed in our kind of the interview piece, this particular effort would replace your current comprehensive plan, which was last created, and there probably maybe a couple of amendments, but last created in 1997. I think that's correct. So obviously there's been, change in kind of, some environmental things or some social things that isn't reflected in that previous plan that, as Mike mentioned, through the Okra process, we have those series of topics that we'll want to address and incorporate, many of which are not discussed in your current plan as it currently exists as well. So all of that is very much, kind of a public conversational process. And like you said, we very much want that communication, that public outreach to sort of drive the final plan recommendations at the end of the day.
Scott, tell us the role of the steering committee. Have we developed a steering committee yet?
Not yet. No, because we don't even know if we're getting the grant.
Okay, all right, we got to get the grant. Then we
Right.
get the steering committee.
Right. And so to answer your question, I've been in front of the county commissioners and then in front of this group here.
So will it also include like drainage board?
I think that's part of
That steering committee?
the steering committee when we figure out who is going to be on it. If we pull farmers in or doctors in or school superintendent it'll be a makeup of that they'll lead us through like who should be on it.
So that group hasn't been decided yet because we don't have the grant yet.
But the natural direction of it will basically be like any other ordinance. It'll come through us for recommendation up to the commissioners for approval.
Okay.
And the other thing that we had talked about, which would be we're getting $60,000 to deal with the unincorporated area. But we're going to try to, we know that some of the towns have master plans themselves. We're going to try to incorporate those master plans into the counties. If that makes sense.
So the first step is to get the grant.
Right.
That's step one.
I could ask a question, please. Mike, did you receive the work that had been done in 2014? The comprehensive plan here had been reviewed and was about halfway completed when
To be honest, Ryan sent me some stuff. I have not reviewed that one though, but I did
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. If not,
I referenced it in the narratives. I've started writing the grant, and I've referenced it as part of things the county has done along the way to keep their comp plan updated.
A problem within our group over the last couple of years. This 1997 has been thrown out in a kind of derogatory way that reflected poorly back upon people that said, hey, 2014, we weren't able to find that work, et cetera, but then Ryan found it about a year and a half ago, acknowledged, yeah, that did exist. So I want to make sure that
Sure.
I'll make sure he's got it.
work that Mr. Niblick had done in 2014, we're not really 1997.
Sure.
It goes back to 2014.
I think the comp plan in the 3-week binder I was given as an APC member had 2014 dated on it.
Sure.
I don't want to confuse things with that.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that we get the most.
Just want to make sure they see all of it.
Yes. Sure. Any other questions?
This grant has nothing to do with changing the comprehensive plan that's already in place, does it?
The grant would allow us to review the current comprehensive plan and make updates or new things to it, update it. That's our goal. We would want to think that the old one serves as a basis for us to work from.
Can we have Mike's email?
Sure. My email is Mike, and I've got some business cards I can hand you, but just for everybody online as well. Mike at kleinpeterconsulting.com. So it's Mike at KLEINPETER, kleinpeterconsulting.com. MIKE at KLEINPETERCONSULTING.com.
Other questions?
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
What's the benefit
What's the benefit of a comp plan?
of what you're going to provide to the county?
Sure.
That will make us better than what we currently are?
Sure. Scott, you want to take that one? What's the benefit of a comp plan to the county?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. One, it certainly provides a documentation or a blueprint, if you will, of kind of a snapshot in time here regarding kind of the community's vision and direction of where they want to go over the next decade or so. So that allows, as officials, elected officials change or new members are appointed to various boards or commissions, there is a reference, if you will, in terms of kind of the blueprint and direction of where kind of the community has documented they want to go. In addition, the idea of being able to use the comprehensive plan to support and leverage other work and investment is always very critical. So that could be using the grant or using the comprehensive plan as a resource for various other funding mechanisms. Some other grants or state funding tools require a comprehensive plan that is no less than 5 years, if you will, sort of quote unquote out of date. So they want a current, if you will, comprehensive plan to be eligible for some planning grant funding for other physical projects or what have you. So it allows you to be able to use the comprehensive plan as a tool for that. And it allows you, I think, even as kind of the programs kind of change or are developed, oftentimes being able to reference what Mike is trying to do now in terms of for this particular planning grant. But if you're trying to go after specific, utility project work or park and recreation work or what have you, having material documented in the comprehensive plan that you're trying to work towards or strive to complete is usually beneficial to be able to demonstrate that there's been conversations, this has been identified, and this is kind of what the county and communities are working towards.
Thanks, Scott.
Any other? Yes.
How much money as a county are we spending on consulting firms to do the work for people that we have in the county? Are we getting our money for not only different consulting firms, they talk about they want to hire a consultant, have a consulting firm come in to talk about the jail, the one of the meetings, $110 million company, $150 million or whatever. It doesn't include the county offices. What are we actually getting for these consulting firms for the money that we're spending?
In Mike's case, he's going to handle this grant that will generate $60,000 towards the comprehensive plan. So I don't know what his fee is or anything like that, but he doesn't get paid unless we receive this grant. So Jerry, I think this could be separate than what you're referencing in regard to the construction firms and so forth.
I want to find what we're actually getting for what we're spending, what we're paying for. Make sure we get a value for our money instead of just throwing money out the window to some consulting firm. We care less about Grant County, Indiana.
Well, I think Scott's firm is going to lead us through the process, is what he will do as far as collecting the information. And I think one of the strengths that, I was on that committee that selected Scott's firm, and one of the strong points there was that this is all they do. This is their commitment to help counties with comprehensive plans rather than go into other engineering and development. They are, Scott, you want to help us with that, please?
Yeah, I didn't quite hear all of the sort of the question or the statement, but yeah, our office is a community planning firm. We have a location here in Indianapolis that the work will be coordinated out of. And our staff is made up of professional community planners. So our consulting business is really dealing with, creation of a variety of, community, neighborhood, county, regional kind of planning efforts. And so comprehensive plans and the work with the OKRA process is something that we're very familiar with and do quite frequently. Like I think you mentioned there regarding both on the grant administration side as well as our consulting side, we only do, get compensated or do obviously the work, and we would get compensated from the grant only if you receive the grant. Otherwise, obviously, then, we don't, there isn't anything that we are, getting or receiving without the successful recipient that you would have in terms of getting the grant. So I think that was a couple of the pieces that I kind of heard. If there's something else that I missed, I'd be happy to address that.
Clayton.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm new here, but in our packet it says a couple times that the Area Plan Commission should reference the comprehensive plan for our approvals. I mean, is it fair to say that Indiana code more or less requires a comprehensive plan if we have, so it's not something we're choosing to do. It's when the commissioners set up an area plan to help zone our unincorporated areas, the state requires that there be some official document that meets all that crosses the T's and dots the I's in order to legally meet the requirements the state has set for us.
Yeah, the state code basically says that we have to have a comprehensive plan to establish an area-wide zoning ordinance. And with that allows the commissioners to establish an area plan committee, which then establishes a board of zoning appeals.
So to have the power to restrict businesses we don't want next to our property or things like that, the state requires that we have something like this in place. And ideally, it would be more or less up to date every 10 years or so. And if we can get grant money to do it, all the better, because the state's going to take that money from us one way or the other.
It's safe to say that ordinances should be influenced greatly by the comprehensive plan.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think another kind of clarification or reinforcement to that message is the comprehensive plan does not change or amend your existing ordinances. What it would do, I think your words are appropriate, it would influence in terms of, so for instance, after the process is completed, if there are some adjustments that, maybe perhaps were recommended that, need to be made or should be looked at or revisited or what have you, that would be an action item that could potentially follow the comprehensive planning process. It does not always, but oftentimes that is the case. And that just makes sure that your ordinance and your code is current and refreshed as well. But again, it would usually follow the kind of the comprehensive plan process. So as you discuss land use, the land use kind of recommendations that would be part of the comprehensive plan do not change your existing ordinance. That would be a kind of a follow-up piece if that were appropriate to happen.
And that's an important piece because as we're aware, our land use tables and our zoning maps are out of line pretty bad. This process is going to help us. I mean, half of our public hearings that we're having is due to incorrect zoning maps or land use tables. As we go through this process, it's going to start assisting with getting a lot of those in line too.
All right, we'd like to wrap this up. Anyone else?
Our comprehensive plan right now, if it promotes agriculture use for our farm ground, can you take that away?
Did you hear that, Scott? He said if our current comprehensive plan promotes agricultural farm use, can you take that away?
Well, I mean, the community discussion and feedback and part of the process will be to update and the kind of create a new future land use plan as part of the planning elements that you articulated. So if there is growth or development that has occurred or is anticipated to occur in some sort of form or fashion, the land use plan should recognize and address that. But it again may not, like it may not be something that is appropriate, and so it needs to be remain in that sort of agriculture, and that's perfectly fine as well. So those would all be kind of items that we would discuss during the process to identify like what are the sort of the land use issues, what are some of the kind of opportunities and or challenges related to that, and then draft a new, if you will, future land use plan that would be reviewed and commented on prior to the completion of the process.
Scott, are there state codes that will influence or drive certain areas of the comprehensive plan?
So the state statute articulates that the comprehensive plan needs to have sort of a community vision established, and then they articulate 3 specific areas of focus that needs to be included. That is land use, community facilities, which think of utilities, those sorts of infrastructure, and then transportation. So those 3 areas are 3 of the topic areas that are part of the OKRA 13 categories. And then OKRA expands on those and asks that you address the following, if you will, 10 additional categories. But the state statute only requires that the plan vision statement and those 3 land use, community facilities / utilities, and transportation are addressed. So those will be addressed in addition to the other 10 that's part of the sort of the grant requirements.
All right, we'd like to move on. Anyone else real quick, please? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everybody.
Do we need to take a vote tonight?
Do we need any formal closer list?
Close the meeting.
Okay.
Close the public hearing.
We need a motion?
No, I think you can go as chairman.
All right. All right, at this time, we will close the public hearing for the comprehensive plan with Mike Klein, Peter, and we will move on to item B, Under public hearings, docket O2Z-24, Bayview Stonecrest Manor Mobile Home Park rezoning. Brian, could you give us an overview, please?
Yes. Do we have a representative?
Do we have a representative?
They said they would have someone here.
Do we have to have someone here?
I think our rules do. Our rules say owner, power of attorney, or attorney, or power of attorney. Dave?
I'm so sorry, I didn't, if you asked me something, I was.
We have a public hearing for a rezoning. We don't have a representative here. This rezoning is something that we asked them to come to us.
What did the old rule say?
It said that they shall have a
Does it say it has to have a representative?
Yeah.
I think we have to have it, even though we asked them, I think we need to have a representative, yes.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to table this?
Table it, yeah.
All right. Do we need a motion for that?
It always helps.
Okay. All right. All right, we have a motion from Mr. Bothwell to table docket O2Z-24. Do we have a second? All right, Mrs. Karen Pullen, seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Huddell,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, item C, docket O3Z-24, Fair Oaks, Fairmount, Mobile Home Park rezoning. Do we have a representative? All right, could you come forward, please?
Signing.
Do you want me to go ahead?
I'm sorry?
You want me to go ahead?
I do.
All right, this is a public hearing for rezoning, docket number O3Z-2024, hearing date February 5th, 2024. Petitioner is Fair Oaks Mobile Home Park. The petition is a zoning map amendment, rezoning, from the current R3, Residential 3, to MH, Mobile Home Park zoning district. Property location is 1400 North Main in Fairmount, Indiana, 46928. Reason for the petition, in reviewing building permits for Fair Oaks and the applications, it was found that 90% of the mobile home park was zoned R3. R3 zoning would not allow mobile homes. So we ask Fair Oaks to come in to rezone the property to a mobile home park. Again, here is kind of one of those that we're talking about. We're hoping to get through land use and zoning maps, but right now we're kind of tackling them as they pop up.
Now, would that be a move to R1?
It would be a move to MH.
To MH. And I believe that is in our packet where you have highlighted that move. Is that correct?
Right.
In the zoning table? Is there anything else in our packet, Brian, that you need to reference in regard to this public hearing?
Again, on this, we asked them to come in so we could make the correction.
Okay. Would you like to share anything with us?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
There's mobile homes in there. There's some already there. There's some already
For
there.
a long time.
A long time.
Okay, remember, we had to do this right down the street at the Barclay Mobile Home Park too. Same thing.
Commission members, any questions?
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone opposed? We good? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Entertain a motion.
So I'll make a motion.
Mr. Stewart makes a motion that we rezone as recommended. Do we have a second? Mr. Bothwell seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell? Putow?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Knuckles?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Poland?
Yes.
Soltz?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Passed.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. We can properly have mobile homes and mobile home parks now. Okay, item D, correction to land use table, mobile home park sales and rentals.
Again, here we have, we're back into the land use table. You should have a copy of the land use table with you. If you will notice in the highlighted area for mobile/manufactured home, the difference is a mobile home is a home that was built before 1976. A manufactured home is a home built after 1976. So that's the difference. Here we're noting that mobile manufactured home, travel trailers and camper sales and rentals. If you look down the line to MH, which is our mobile home district, there's nothing in the box. So our land use table, the way we read it, if there is an X, then it is allowed by right. If there is an S, then it is a special exception that must go in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals. If there is nothing in the box, it is not allowed. So right now, our land use table says that basically mobile and manufactured home sales in mobile home parks are not allowed, which this is almost everything they do in mobile home parks. So what I'm asking tonight is for a correction to the land use table to put an X there in the mobile home district.
Questions from the commission?
Since we've got it listed on the agenda as a public hearing, does it need to be there, or is it something we can deal with?
Yeah, we need to send a recommendation forward because it's a change in the ordinance. And the rezonings too. I'll have to do the same.
So we're making a recommendation to the commissioners on this.
Right.
About making a final decision.
Right.
I have a question. It concerns, these containers that people are making homes out of. What would that fall under? Do we have an ordinance for those?
We have an ordinance that for cargo containers or Connex boxes. We just did an ordinance about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And we brought it over. You guys signed it, so you're with
Yeah,
it.
I remember something about it.
But yeah, there is no habitability to them in Grant County. So that is covered.
Other questions? Do we need to open this up to the public?
We can, public discussion.
I would.
Okay. Anybody in the audience like to comment, question? All right, not hearing any, then we'll close this hearing and we'll ask for a motion to approve.
Move to recommend a change to the zoning table to allow sale of mobile manufactured homes in MH district.
Motion by Mr. Soltz. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion second by Mr. Kelly. Roll call vote, please.
Was it Mr. Kelly or Mr. Hicks?
Kelly.
Okay, I
Steve Kelly.
apologize. I seen Mr. Hicks speak at the same time, so I was confused.
Well, he's going to have to speak louder, Frank. We're going to get you in the books.
Bothwell?
Question now, this is not for us to make a determination. We have three options.
Making a recommendation.
Or recommending approval or denial or sending it to them with no recommendation.
Right.
And the motion is to recommend it for approval.
Yes. Favorable recommendation.
Cottle,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
passed.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to old business. Mailing checklist for public hearings. Ryan, could you share that with us, please?
Did you hand, okay. Everyone should have got a copy. I was asked at the last meeting, right there. At the last meeting, you had wanted to see what we use for public hearings. This is what we put in these packets for our public hearings. And it was basically a checklist. So Brenda, for the most part, as we do stuff, she will sign off on it and write down when it was done. Because we had talked about it, you just wanted to see it. So that's what we use for public hearings. That should have been handed out separate to everyone.
Now, did we talk about deposit? Did you want to talk about approving the certified mail and deposit of public for the signs?
So two things with that. This group and the BZA both decided that when we send out notices to all adjacent properties, that we would do it by certified mail. We had an issue that even though we were trying to send it out in time, they weren't getting it until a day or two before with no time to react. So we moved to go to certified mail. One thing that we didn't address, are we going to absorb that cost, or are we going to pass that along to the resident? And I bring this up because in this case, when we get into like the mobile home parks, the mobile home parks had like 30 some adjacent. We're paying $7 a certified letter. So, some of these, a lot of them only have 4, 5, 6 adjacent properties. This mobile home park had 30, and the other one had 16 or something like that. So, I mean, we're getting into some money. From that, we budgeted $1,000 for the entire year, and we chewed up about a third of it to notify the adjacent properties just for our 2 mobile home parks tonight. So the question is, do we want to put that $7 into the cost, or do we want to absorb it?
So I think what I hear you saying is that your budget did not take into account the additional expense of certified mail.
Yeah, we went from 500 to 1,000, so
Okay.
we did up it.
So what would be the procedure to go back to the county council and Frank and explain why we have started doing this and the need for additional funding? Is that possible?
Well, we're still early enough in the process. I can transfer money to cover it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not really the point.
Okay.
It's do we want to absorb that or not?
And this has come about due to we've run into some situations where folks didn't feel like they had proper notification, so they come to the public hearing with concerns about not being properly notified is the reason that we went to the certified mail procedure, correct?
Right.
So Commission, how do we feel about that? Come on, you guys.
Seems reasonable to increase the application
And
fee.
lady, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I got to include, I can't say guys, I got
Oh,
to be more
sorry.
appropriate here. Trying, guys, ladies.
If it's just a couple properties, it seems reasonable to increase the application fee, but it doesn't seem fair to impose exorbitant fees on a property owner if they have multiple people, if they have 10 or 15 people next to them. That's not necessarily their fault. So perhaps we can find an average. If we, find out what the average cost per petitioner is and increase the application fee by that amount, then hopefully across the population it'll cover.
As Ryan and I talked about this and going over the agenda, he mentioned that this zoning issue really needed to be corrected based on the fact that we had mobile home parks that were not in the right zoning table. I don't know how often that comes about.
We've got about 5 of them now.
We've had about 5 of them now.
Hopefully the comprehensive plan will assist that.
Right.
Also, just a point, Mr. Chair, this isn't the appropriate time on the agenda, but I briefly saw a message that there was someone from Stonecrest Manors on the call. I don't know if or when we'll be able to address them, but I just saw it pop up very briefly. I want to bring it to the council's attention.
8:03, so 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago.
Still on the agenda. I think we can still.
If you want to hear it, I think it's within your discretion.
Okay.
Assuming everybody else is okay with it, of course.
How you guys feel about going back to item B, docket 02Z24? Do we want to deal with the certified mail first? Do we need a motion if we're going to continue to do this?
A motion for,
To approve continuing to send certified mail? That's what we're working on, right?
yeah, you might close that out real quick and then go back to that.
If he's not visible.
Okay, we're going to finish the certified mail.
Then go back.
Can we,
She's going to touch base and make sure that he can be visible.
okay, all right. Certified mail. You want to continue to send certified mail?
I'll make a motion that we handle the certified mail as you're doing it now, and then when it arises again, if it gets too much for your budget, then we can address it then.
And again, I just wanted to, we don't expect it, but here we didn't even charge either because it was kind of our mistake to fix. So we ended up putting a lot of money out, kind of our own fault.
Have a motion from Steve Kelly that we continue the certified mail. In the event it becomes a financial issue, then we'll come back and revisit it.
I'll second.
Second by Jerry Cottle. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell,
Yes.
Cottle,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Knuckles,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Soltz,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Tom.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Okay, we're going to go ahead and rules and procedures is going to be short because I've got a couple areas. I've spent a lot of time reviewing the rules and procedures, and I've given Ryan some questions that I had about it. I don't know that I want to cover that right now, but what I do want to do is it's been brought to my attention that the Area Planning Commission has the final decision-making in subdivisions. And with that being the case, that there is the possibility of it being a 2-hearing process,
A major.
okay? Is that addressed in our rules and procedures? In that event, what the procedure for a double hearing situation would be?
Not in our rules, it's in our ordinance.
It's in our ordinance.
Yeah,
Should it be in the rules?
it's a question.
Okay.
That's one thing we talked about because we had, in our original rules, we had talked about there's like 9 different ways to go as far as adoption of an ordinance, subdivision, CAFO. Did we want to put all of it in? Or right now, there's only 3 of like the 9 in the original. So everything else we had to go look up. Did we want to put it all in there or pull it all out and then present it as it came to us? So if we had a subdivision come in, do you want us to hand out the subdivision ordinance when a subdivision comes in?
I guess what I would promote is just having the procedure in our rules and procedures in the event that we would experience that we would have guidelines to follow. Would that be a simple?
Yeah. But you've also got, so if we're going to do that, are we doing CAFOs? Are we doing text amendments? Are we doing zoning map amendments? Because by the time I print that out, we go from a 20-page rules of procedure to about a 38-page rules of procedure. So we're picking and choosing which procedures you want to put in.
So you're telling me that every one of those situations would require a different set of procedures?
A lot of them do. If you look at the ones we've got, the very last page, I left in if we're doing a text amendment, that procedure is almost the whole page. So I left that in just so you guys could look at, okay, if we're doing text amendment, here's what it is. With the question, do we want to put them all in, some of them in, or take them as we get them?
Well, I'll ask for comments about that in a minute. The other situation is finding a fact. I know that you've mentioned there are times when we would have to create a finding of fact situation.
Only in final decisions.
Only in final decisions. Do we have a finding of fact procedure that should be in there also?
I think it does say that we will do finding of facts, but that's about all the code says.
Because I know when you shared that with me, I thought, BZA.
Yeah, BZA is a lot more, it's the judicial, quasi-judicial portion than the area plan is, because obviously most of what area plan does goes somewhere else to get okayed. But you do have certain things that you have final say on. Code basically says that you will have finding of facts on what you have a final decision.
Okay. And do we have the forms for the finding of fact in the event that we would do that?
Yeah, we do almost the same thing we do with the BZA.
Okay. I think it needs to be included in the rules and procedures, just so that we would have that. You guys help me.
I think our rules say the same thing, just that we will do them.
In the interest of time, we obviously have some things that probably need to be reviewed, and probably would like to have Dave take a look at that, make sure we're doing it correctly, and so on. So could we put that off, the rules and procedures, so we get on with the meeting? Got a lot of folks I know.
That would be my recommendation for the sake of time and, the folks that we have here. I don't know that.
I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that?
It never hurts. I don't think you have to, but I don't think it hurts to have it.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bothwell, second by Mr. Soltz. Roll call vote.
Boswell?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Knuckles?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Poland? Yes. Soltz?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Todd?
I promise we will bring resolution of this at some point.
Were we going to talk about signs? We did this.
Is Stonecrest ready?
Yeah, we had Stonecrest.
Okay, all right, we're going to move back to docket 02Z-24 Bayview Stonecrest Manor. Okay, who's our representative?
My name is Aaron Kidd, AARONKIDD.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us.
Sure.
Brian, something to share?
I'm getting there. All right. This is docket 02Z-2024. Hearing date February 5th, 2024. Petitioner is Stonecrest Manor, Mobile Home Community, LLC. Property location is 2801 South Stone Road, Marion, Indiana, 46953. Again, for this petition, in reviewing building permit applications for Stonecrest Manor Mobile Home Park, it was found that the entire mobile home park was improperly zoned R3. As a R3 zone district, this would not allow mobile homes. Area plan asked that Stonecrest Manor Mobile Home Park come in and apply for a rezoning so that we could correct this issue at no charge.
Aaron, are you good with that?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Just that it's been a mobile home park, from our understanding, for a very long time. and is currently zoned as residential suburban instead of mobile home community.
And you'd like to continue with mobile homes being there, I would assume?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing. We're going to need a vote. Do we have a motion to approve docket 02Z-24?
Second.
Dr. Bothwell makes a motion. Mr. Stewart seconds it. Roll call vote, please.
Bothwell?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Knuckles?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Poland?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Again, is this understanding for Mr. Kidd, this is a recommendation that we are sending to the commissioners. This is not a final. All we do, Mr. Kidd, is make recommendations to the commissioners. They'll hopefully go with that recommendation for approval. Correct?
All right. Okay, reports, resolutions, communications. I've talked to Mr. Glickfield, and we are going to suspend the discussion in regard to receiving solar applications due to the action that the commissioners took today in honoring us with a 6-month moratorium in regard to solar energy developments. So, Mr. Glickfield, anything else you would like to share with us as a report?
No, I have nothing else in the report, although based on conversations earlier, there were lots of questions about the comprehensive plan. This is one of those areas that, at 2 points, I've been asked several times, is there anything that can be done to combat the solar ordinance that's now in place? The comprehensive plan ordinances need to be in line with the comprehensive plan. Text amendment ordinances, which is what this is, need to be in line with the comprehensive plan. So if this was not in line with the comprehensive plan, this would have given an avenue to contest the validity of that ordinance. So that's why the comprehensive plan, that's another reason the comprehensive plan is very important. Obviously, the community, especially the agricultural community, is very concerned about this. So this is a good step for them to make their feelings known as part of this comprehensive plan, and the value of the agricultural land staying as agricultural land. This is actually very important. And so the comprehensive plan can include that type of thoughts of the community, and then if something happens, and it can apply to anything, if any types of ordinances are passed which go against the comprehensive plan, then that is a means to potentially attack the validity of that ordinance. Secondly, this body has the ability, if they believe that an ordinance is against the theory of the comprehensive plan, to actually have public hearings and address whatever issues they believe might be in conflict with the comprehensive plan through the ordinance. So I just want to let everybody know that.
Would that be through the amendment process?
Correct.
Okay.
Which this board does have the power to do that.
Commission members, any questions about what Mr. Glickfield just shared with us?
That's all I have other than that.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Well, I want to publicly thank Ron and the commissioners. This has been quite an issue that we've been dealing with in the county. I think this is an opportunity for us to take a look at, what we have to make sure we get it right. Okay, Director Malat, report.
Do you want to start with your ending, or you want to get to, I don't know if is Mayor Goins here?
Mayor Goings, Jonesboro?
All right. I didn't know if you was.
I'll let you choose, Ryan, which one you want to go with.
Year ending numbers, you have our basic year ending numbers. Again, kind of a tough year. We went 6 months without a building inspector and 2 months without a clerk, and we brought in the brand new software and went through all the headaches with getting that put in, and we're still fine tuning to this day. But overall, our numbers, looks like we came out of it with another top year.
Are we on this, Ryan?
Yes, all the cumulative. So even with all that, we came out with a good year on demolitions. We did 874 permits issued, which I believe was top three. We did 2,386 inspections, which was top three. We had one of our top years for estimated construction in Grant County at $85,405,622. That's a number that we've been trying to keep up on for that estimated construction. As you're aware, when we go to the council says, that's great, but you don't generate any money off of permits and such. And I think it's important to remember that what we're responsible for, the amount of money. Because I think the council, when it came to getting Grace to full-time this year and stuff like that, I think that was a number that kind of was like, oh, we didn't realize that. Again, our budget coming out of 2023 was 312. Overall, we can't thank the council and the community enough. We've had a budget that went from 165,000 in 2019 up to 312 in 2023. I think, again, Frank, thanking the council, it seems like as long as we're producing, they're willing to help. So that's been great. Katie, we're getting our momentum back. She's got about 5 houses right now that can come down, another 5, 6 in court for February. We are limited. They're giving us 1 day a month to do it, so we're putting a bunch of demolitions in one basket.
If we have an emergency, we can get another day.
But the momentum's starting again. So we've got 1 down so far this year, but again, as soon as the highway department tells us they're ready to go, we've got 3 that can come down this week. So that's kind of where we're at on demos. Now that Nicole's been able to concentrate on being building inspector, I would imagine our inspections for this year is going to get back up over 3,000 again. That'll help us get caught up. Again, the new software, with the new software, it's allowing us to put out friendly reminders at 90, 120, and 180 days, which helps her keep up with the back things that we haven't seen on 6+ months. Our new software actually emails out that, hey, we haven't seen it, as opposed to us having to go out house by house and leave notes. So we're hoping that cuts that down a lot, because we talk about fines and stuff like that, where we show up and we're waiting on a call for a footer and the house is built. That's usually those books that now we're sending friendly reminders out on. Again, just overall, our 2023, we wanted to get the comprehensive plan going. We wanted to get our software implemented. We were hoping to complete the rules of procedure, but we're almost there. We were looking to get our code enforcement secretary to full-time, which we were able to do. We did get our computers upgraded. We did have a big year for the estimated construction. We were able to get staff salaries organized. Big goals for next year is to complete the comprehensive plan. We're looking to do, following that, a full review of the area-wide zoning ordinance. We're looking for building inspector and code enforcement officers to get their ICC certifications for building inspectors. I'm going for my certification for floodplain management. We want to continue to fine-tune the geo permits and start having workshops for the contractors involved.
Now, those certifications, you guys have timelines on that? Are we working towards that?
Yeah, we've got 5 practice tests, and kind of the way we tried to do it before is we took like one every 2 weeks, studied one every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we'll kind of go through that and then let them go live.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Now Katie is newer, so it's probably going to take her a little bit longer. But Nicole's right there.
Okay.
We also sent something to IT, looking to get the big map scanner. We thought it won't print, but we thought it would scan. And when we tried to scan, it won't scan. So a lot of the plans that come in, especially like for Taylor University right now, they've got so much stuff going on and we get these big maps. Our software will allow us to scan that down and put it with parcels. So that we would be able to have, whatever they give us, we would have with the parcel for home builds, commercial builds, or whatever. Right now, the only way we can do that is to carry these big things down 2 floors and use the recorders. So that's a wish list thing for this year. Again, if possible, begin working through zoning maps and land use tables, which is going to happen with the comp plan, so that's awesome. And the other thing is we have an intern who started with us. We got them working on the old permits to get into the new system. And we've got them 2 days a week here, 1 day a week remotely, starting January 11th through the 3rd week of January next year.
Okay. Jonesboro TIF?
That is where I was hoping the mayor said he was going to be here. If you look in your packets.
Ryan, if I may interrupt, could you please have a motion to accept his report?
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to accept Director Malott's report.
Can I ask a question?
In public comment.
If a permit has been issued for renovation of a building last year, he's on the report for last year, and it was supposed to be like a 300 square foot renovation, and it ended up being a much more, the whole building was renovated. The owner said he spent close to $500,000 on the building. Does that show in his report that there was an extra $300,000 spent in money in Grant County, and that should be on the tax assessor, that the taxes should go up on that building? I mean, does that show in his report? Because his permit was only for 300 square feet.
So what happens is the permit triggers the assessment. The assessing people will go out and view it as it is, and will assess it on its value, not what's on the permit.
So, but his report was saying, so many dollars have been generated in Grant County.
Now, I don't know the answer to that, but to answer your question as far as the taxing part, it will be taxed on what its value is, not what's on the permit application. That permit application triggers the assessment.
But then his amount would be less because more was spent on that building.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a true statement or not, right?
When we do a permit, they basically give us an estimate of what it's going to cost. So our estimated construction will never be exact number. They may say it's going to be 100,000 and get into it and it's 150, or it's 90. It's just an idea of our permits and what they expect. So I know that's never going to be exact.
It could be a question.
Basically, you're saying so much has been spent in Grant County, it's just an estimate.
Just an idea.
It'd be a question for the assessor, I think, where you're at. Okay, Jonesboro TIF.
You have a sheet in your packet that is pretty much every email I have gotten from Lisa Lee, which is Ice Miller. And then you also have basically a Wikipedia on what tax increment financing is. So they are coming in for a public hearing next month. to set up a TIF district, and they have to, as you can read, they have to come to us. It's the first time that we've seen it, so that's why I'm kind of wanting, one, we've got new, but two, I don't think even our veterans have seen TIF come through area plan, have we? So just kind of giving some backgrounds. I questioned her, she said, yes, it's supposed to come here, and they're coming next month. I thought the mayor would be here tonight to kind of explain it too, to give us a heads up for next month.
Something that might have happened, Gas City has a TIF, and has had for quite some time. And I believe that they annexed land that would have been at the time, would have been a part of
Right.
area plan. I think they annexed it first and then did a TIF. I don't know if that's what you're.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
That's what happened. So
Yes.
is that the process that Jonesboro is expecting to do?
I don't know, it sure reads like that's not the process. I don't know why they wouldn't annex it first and then, but they have to. I don't know.
I asked questions, and here's the response I got, and hey, we're coming in March.
Now, it is correct that the plan commission needs to approve it, but I don't know how they can have a TIF area that's outside the city boundaries. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, me either.
At all. So that would have to be cleaned up, I'm sure.
Do you have a recommended procedure for that, David?
Well, he could have the attorney call me. I'm sure she knows what she's doing, and I'm sure there's something either not correctly conveyed or something I'm unaware of, because they're experts on this.
I may be speaking somewhat out of turn, but if the mayor is frustrated with me, I suppose he can bring it up at the next meeting. But as someone on the Jonesboro City Council, I know we've had discussions with several parts of people who live on the west side of the city that aren't within the city limits proper, but are receiving water and sewer in several city properties that are resistant to, we've had discussions about annexation in the past, and it hasn't always gone well, but we do need to develop that one way or another simply for the growth of Jonesboro, since we can't grow east and we can't grow north, and we can't really grow south too much without bumping into at least new school districts. The west is really the direction for development, and so the thought is if we can get businesses on the west side of Jonesboro and even near some of the churches and those houses out there, 10, 15 years down the line, those people might be more interested in city services, in annexation, but we would like to see that developed. It needs to be developed whether or not it's within city limits for the betterment of Jonesboro, would be my understanding. Mr. Pearson, do you think that would be accurate?
I think that's where he's heading, but I haven't really talked to Mayor Bob to find out what he's.
I also know Mr. Kaus, who was formerly on this board. If any of you have questions or still have his contact information, I know his vision is, go west, young man, is kind of the vision for Jonesboro, at least that Mr. Kaus had, and I assume Mayor Goins is going off of that somewhat as well.
So what a TIF district does is, and I'm city attorney for Jonesboro, so I'm particularly in Gas City, so I deal with this all the time. What it does is all that revenue from the growth stays inside that TIF district. So the governmental entity, in this case Gas City, can use that to provide infrastructure, to provide land to a factory or whatever to use, because they know that as soon as that taxing revenue comes in, it's going to pay for it immediately. And all that money stays in there. The county doesn't get any of it, the schools don't get any of it. In our case, Gas City gets it. So in this particular case, if you don't annex the land and bring it into Jonesboro, it's in the unincorporated county. I would imagine, and again, maybe she knows something I don't know, which is very possible, that money would actually stay with the unincorporated area of the county, and the commissioners would control what happens inside that, not Jonesboro. So I think there probably needs to be a little bit more clarification on that. It's a wonderful development tool if it's used properly, and you have someone who's aggressively pursuing growth in that direction and recruiting. It's a fantastic tool, but I think it has to be within the boundaries. So if in fact I'm correct, and again, Ms. Lee will know the answer to that, I think that has to be annexed before we can, as a plan commission, approve a TIF recommendation for them.
I'll try to get some clarification. I'll try to talk to the mayor soon and get some clarification to the extent I can.
Anything else? Any other questions? It's coming our way. Okay. All right, where are we at? Okay, for the sake of time, I asked Ryan to share with the commission a timeline of how the solar ordinance process originally established. I have a page of questions, but I'm not going to go there tonight for the sake of time. I'm going to ask the commission, to review this, and here again, this is targeting our goal of transparency, is what it is. And I don't know, should we post this online? Review? Anything keep us from doing that, David?
No, if the planning commission wants to post it, I think it's fair.
Do we need a motion for that?
I would definitely have a motion.
Okay.
Is it not our property anyways, as citizens?
I didn't hear what he said.
He's asking if it's the public's property. Anyway,
Once,
i.e. public information.
yeah, once we accept it and approve it by motion, absolutely it is.
and I think what this is going to do, Ryan, you help me, this is going to help explain some things that went on that weren't necessarily of a public meeting noted or a videoed meeting.
That is everything from our first meeting with Invenergy, when we found out that solar was interested in Grant County at the end of June 2021, till the recommendation that went forward from, so it goes from June all the way to April 1st. And with that timeline, that is backed by videos, emails, budgets, minutes, everything in that timeline is sitting right here.
And I'm going to ask if that information can be scanned. That is the freedom of information request that you've been,
No,
oh, that's not.
no,
Okay.
that's done too, but it's about the same size.
So what's in there?
This is, everything in here, whatever is in here to back it up.
Is supported by that.
Right.
Anything in there that's not in there?
No. So if it's here, it's here, it's in time with this.
So those would be more detailed communications that resulted in this.
Well, if you read it, it'll say, Director Malott emailed out Grant County Solar Draft 1, including was permit and application fee comparisons and setbacks emailed to Solar Committee, Mike Burton, Ron Mallory, Ed Hartman, and Brenda Harrison. That's in here. And Draft 1 is in here. In the order that these are in.
Okay.
So in response to your goal of transparency, which is obviously an excellent thing, it might be fair to give everyone a month to review this and then take a vote on the publication of this, because I think whoever asked the question, once it's been presented to us, everyone reviews it, it does become public domain, it is public information. So posting it, I think, helps immensely, getting that out to the public. But I'm not sure it's fair to everyone here who just got a copy of this tonight to make a decision on that. They might want to have some time to review it and then take action on the publication of it at the next meeting.
I appreciate that, Mr. Blickfield. I agree with that. Okay, we're going to go to public input here in a minute. There is one other thing that I wanted to mention. I know this is kind of a questionable area, but I asked Ryan to email you guys the finding of facts and so forth generated by the commissioners in regard to the ordinance that the commissioners adopted. You guys got that email, right? Okay. I took the time to kind of go back and research from my perspective, the accuracy of some of that information. And what I was able to find by watching videos is that the ordinance that the APC approved and sent to the commissioners was emailed to the APC in February of 2022. So we do know that the APC did receive that prior to its discussion and review, and that was confirmed by the YouTube video that was taken on March 7th. And I think it's 5,100 is the number I saw when I saw that it was actually being discussed by the AP on March 7th. So it was emailed in February, discussed in March 7th, and there was a public hearing for that ordinance that was sent to the commissioners by the APC on April 4th. It was the ordinance that was handed down at the door during that public hearing, and I hope that anybody else was there can kind of support what I'm saying here. I wasn't an APC member then, but I was a member that was attending, or a taxpaying resident who was attending all of the meetings. So, I don't know that any of that matters at this point. Again, I want to publicly thank the commissioners for their actions today in giving us the opportunity, to take a look at this very significant issue that we have in Grant County. So, any other thoughts before I open this up to public discussion? Commission members.
The public hearing was for which draft?
It was the APC approved draft that was handed out at the door.
APC.
I don't want to call it draft 7 because now the draft that's posted on the website is draft 7. It was really the
It's
Ordinance.
ordinance number 7. It just happened to be number 7 when they adopted it.
And I know
It's not-
that's
it's not
confusing.
draft 7,
Whenever we
it's
start
ordinance
talking
7.
draft 4 and draft 7, it gets very confusing. So I'm going to call it the Commissioner's approved ordinance and the APC recommended ordinance. Clayton, you're thinking something.
So I'm afraid to ask this question. Are you implying there was not a public hearing about the commissioner-approved ordinance?
I'm simply saying that the ordinance that the public hearing was conducted on, the ordinance that was passed out at the door, was the APC recommended ordinance to the commissioners.
I see. Thank you.
Now, I don't know that we want to get into the legality of all of that tonight because we got a lot of folks here and it's getting late. What time is it?
Late.
All right. Any other thoughts before we go to?
You didn't vote on his year-end report and stopped before you did that vote.
Thank you, Jackie. Do we have a motion for Ryan's year-end report?
I move to accept Ryan's year-end report.
Okay, motion by Clayton Soltz. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Frank Hicks. Roll call, please.
Papa? Cornell?
Yes.
Hicks?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Knuckles?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Poland?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. I need all the help I can get, folks.
How long have you been doing this?
2 meetings. I appreciate you sitting there, Ron. I need your help also. David, thank you. Jackie, thank you.
It's tough getting. Somebody that sits there, it's tough getting.
Yeah. All right. What time is it?
Public comment time.
8:45. We're going to go to 9:15. We're all going home, so let's make it quick. State your name. 3 minutes.
Cale Grindle, Jonesboro. Mr. Glickfield, I
Hi, Ryan.
just wanted to follow up. That was my question about the public information about
Yes. No, I think, and the reason I think the members especially those who are familiar with the process, might want an opportunity to verify that the information is actually correct. Brian prepared this, and it might very well be correct.
Even if it's incorrect, isn't it still public information that we are entitled to?
That'll be discussed, and then they'll vote on it, and then yes, it will all be public information.
So if the members of the board decide it's not in the best interest to disseminate it, is it still not subject to a freedom of information request?
That one I'd have to think about a little bit before just saying off the top of my head. Normally, when reports are received, voted on, they become official documents which are subject to Freedom of Information Act. Sometimes you have rough drafts. Minutes, for example, is one until they're approved. They're not actually official. So your question is a little bit more particular. I don't know if I want to just answer that off the top of my head. I'll think about that, and if that situation arises at the next meeting, I'll try to be prepared to answer that.
Ron, again, I wanted to thank you. I thank you this morning, but there's a lot more people here than what there was I want to say this morning, but it was very much into the afternoon. We all appreciate your movement for the moratorium. It's greatly appreciated. And then for the three of the new members here, you probably get the impression that we're against solar. And no?
I don't get that.
Okay, well, you'll figure it out real soon. And one thing I want to stress to the members of the public that yes, while all three members of the commissioners voted for the moratorium, I want to state that we shouldn't fall for the political stunt that Mr. Wright and Mr. Bardsley made in voting for it, because it's election time, and we all know they are very much for solar. So I don't think we should read into that very much, other than the fact that they just want to be reelected.
Before you leave, I thought about it. I think it is subject to Freedom of Information Act, but as far as putting it on the public website, I would prefer it be verified for correctness.
Okay.
That helps.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sorry, one last little thing. I would like to, again, welcome our friends from Genix Solar. I believe it was 2 meetings ago, I mentioned that I just wanted you guys to know who it was that was going to be stopping you from getting your bonuses for Grant County.
Thanks, Kale. All right, anyone else? You guys are being nice tonight.
Randy, I'll go ahead. I hadn't come with anything prepared, but again, it's Andy Ellis, Fairmount, and did want to state, just because we do have new members here, that it's not that the community is totally against solar. There's just appropriate places for it. And on farmland, where there's tremendous benefit for farmland today as well as in the future, and that's really the culture of our community. There are brownfield sites, old factories, dumps that could be turned into green fields. Those would be appropriate locations, or if somebody wants to put it on the roof. But he is absolutely correct that as a community, we've been fairly vocal about it, and basically we were ignored. And the ordinance that the commissioners approved, it was kind of just crammed down our throat. So I just wanted to clarify that there are places for solar. If our community colleges wanted to put some solar around to provide for their particular applications, that's a different thing. You know, we can handle that. I think that should still go through the zoning board and go through special exception. But I think that that's something a little bit different than what we're talking about. We do not promote tearing up our farm ground to put massive solar installations on. So thank you for your time.
All right, anyone else?
Good evening, I'm Dallas Street. I'm from outside of Van Buren.
Quickly, Mr. Stewart, again, thank you to you and the other two commissioners for your actions today. Kind of opened the window a little bit, showed the group of people that are against this movement that we do have a voice and you guys are at least listening a little bit. So thank you for that. I'm going to read the definition of a moratorium, and then I have a question for Mr. Malat and probably the APC. According to Merriam-Webster, a moratorium is defined as a legally authorized period of delay in the performance of a legal obligation or the payment of a debt. It can also be defined as a waiting period set by an authority and further defined as a suspension of activity. Mr. Malat, it's no secret that you've been coordinating with these solar companies for multiple years now. I look forward to my request. I look forward to the request that I made, and I can assure you another will be following it for deeper into the history. My question to you is, after the vote today on a moratorium of all solar, are you going to suspend your activity with these companies?
You act like I talk to them all the time.
I am
That's not
confident
the
that you
case.
do.
Dallas, I can help you with that.
Okay.
Ryan's been directed not to have any communications with outside solar companies without my attendance.
I just want to make sure that's on the record, sir, that's all. Van Buren recently voted on a 3-mile radius for a setback. If any of you represent other townships in the county, I strongly recommend you do the same thing. Vote for that so it can be brought to the APC. Hopefully the commissioners will see that and take heed of that and see that not even in towns is solar wanted. Jonesboro, you just talked about growth, correct? And Jonesboro wants to push west, and we want to grow. Gas City wants to grow. That does not happen with industrial solar. All of these towns and cities are surrounded by farms. If these farmers sign up, we lose the ability to grow because our fields are covered in solar panels. So I would like to commend Van Buren Township publicly in front of the county and encourage any other town or city representative to do the same thing within their township. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else?
Myron Brankel, 5450 East, 550 North, Van Buren. One thing Dallas did not say about Van Buren, Weaver Popcorn has a plan for $31 million expansion. They're bringing all their facilities, offices and everything, planning on that. They met with the town and got a tax abatement. And in the process, they found out there was solar signed up on the west side. And they said, no, we don't want solar next to us. And I just want to say to Tim Eckerly, I'm sure he's listening, that Tim Eckerly said if we don't go solar, Grant County will not grow. Well, what Weaver Popcorn is saying, if we go solar, Weaver Popcorn's not going to grow. So just keep that in mind.
Michael?
Michael Duke again. I just want to follow up on the question that I asked the representative from the consulting company. It's no longer here. In that I would encourage the executive committee, the planning committee, the technical committee, whatever it's going to be called, that engages with the consultant to manage this process of the comprehensive plan being updated and revised, that there be adequate number of public hearings to continue to hear public concern, public input on how the citizens of our county want our land to be used and how our economy can be further developed and grown. Not just one public hearing, but multiple public hearings. Thank you.
All meetings will be advertised as public meetings associated with revising the comprehensive plan. Anyone else?
Mark Spear, Marion, North Marion. I got a couple questions. I didn't fully understand on the comprehensive plan, you stated earlier that if the ordinance isn't like lined up with the comprehensive plan, the APC can open up the amendment process. Is that correct? Or it's grounds to open it up?
Correct.
Okay. So I guess my question.
That's by the area-wide zoning ordinance
Okay.
itself.
I guess my question would be, is this something that the APC would look at tonight, or does it have to be on the agenda for the next meeting, or?
It's going to be a public hearing, doesn't it?
Do you want me to answer that, Randy?
If you're comfortable with that.
Actually, it was on the agenda to be discussed tonight.
Okay.
But then the moratorium kind of made that a moot point.
Okay.
Yes. Now.
Well, the moratorium is only for 6 months, and they said it would take up to a year to get the comprehensive plan
Depending on
done.
the direction the moratorium goes, this body has the ability to do that.
Okay.
And they have, now, per the ordinance, they have a 6-month period also.
Okay. And then my next statement, and no offense to any farmers, because, I mean, obviously, where I work, they support me, or I support them, but it's not all about losing farm ground. It's also about residents. I'm not a farmer, but it's coming next to my property. And anyone that's within a certain area is going to lose property value. So what I've worked for my whole life, I'm going to lose part of that. It's not just about farm ground. That's a huge part of it. But there's nothing in this ordinance that protects me. And I had no say-so, or I guess I did. It was just secretive enough that I didn't know about it. So, thank you.
And I'll also help you with that. This board, that was one of the issues that was going to be looked at, and depending on if it's looked at in the moratorium, which I'm sure it will, that was one of the things that this board thought was very important, and was going to look at that and make recommendations on that also.
Thank you.
I'm aware of an individual who has done extensive research in regard to property values in relation to industrial solar development, and we're going to reach out and see if we can have that individual do a presentation to the Area Planning Commission. I mentioned that to President Stewart from the commissioners, and he said that he would entertain that as well. So we're hoping that that individual can report not only to the commissioners, but to the APC. That'll be coming in the near future as soon as we can get things scheduled.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I do a brief question regarding one of the comments. Just curious, because there's multiple, I'm new here again, I've just tried to catch up, but I've heard multiple things against concerns about solar, specifically Weaver Popcorn. Was it their property value? Was it drainage? What was their concern specifically about the solar going next to them? Do you know?
Yeah, I can say 2 or 3 things. The first thing is solar is dangerous. And if you have 3 miles setback, they're more protected with their food, their popcorn. And as we know, I mean, we get emails and texts and everything else about the dangers of solar, from storms, hailstones, and everything else. And their property, I mean, these solar panels are deadly. I mean, they've got deadly chemicals in them and everything else. And they're not willing to move all their facilities from Indianapolis to Van Buren and take that chance that we get a hailstone storm or whatever, and their popcorn, plus there's another, like a jerky and beef products that's moving in with that. They don't want that. They don't want that risk. And along with the homes, Randy, you said something about getting somebody in here. I can show you 3 of the most beautiful homes in our area in Grant County that says, we're watching, and if it's going to come, we're selling out, we're getting out of here. So that's how it's going to impact us.
Anyone else?
I'd like to expand on the Weaver thing a little bit real quick.
Okay, thanks, Jerry.
Weaver's still planning on moving here.
I don't want anybody to think that they're not, that they were, this upset them because they really didn't know about it. So they were upset, and they do not want it closed because of a lot of what Mr. Brackle said. Water runoff and that type of stuff, and, you know, it can get in the system, and they're worried about that, so. They're still coming so far.
My name is Charles Weaver. I've been at three of these meetings. I was here this morning, was the first one here, and was told it wasn't going to be discussed, so we left. But anyway, regardless of that. For it or against it, I have no problem. I think that everybody should agree to disagree. But the derogatory remarks made to the council people, to the commissioners, to people that's for it from people that's against it, and probably vice versa, is it got in to be a couple of the meetings, it was like a mob scene. That one night we were here was, maybe there was 200 people here. There's 60,000 people in this county, approximately. That is 200 people and aren't the majority. I have a farm. I'm worried about the ditching. There's no money in the ditch fund. Never has been, Randy, you know that. It goes in there, but some bigger farmers get it. But we take care of it ourselves. We just put more money against each acre to take care of the Modoc ditch over north of Swayze. What? Lumbo ditch, excuse me. And it's going to cost close to $300,000 to repair the main ditch that goes to Taylor Creek. We're going to foot it ourselves. Not we as individuals, but through tax on each acre. We're worried about that. The solar people that we talked to put it in writing. I taped all the meetings. Said they would take care of you, bring in your own ditching people, whoever you do business with, and they'll fix it and keep it up. The ditching part of it. We were worried about that because they will cut it up and they'll fix it at that point. But as far as Weaver Popcorn just sold. They sold to Hershey. They just sold, 2 weeks ago to a LLC out of Florida, 60% of the rest of their product. And they're not making anybody, threatening anybody to leave if we put in solar panels. Now, being a farmer, I want to say one thing. We start out in the spring or in the fall, get the ground ready, go over it several times, plant it, spray it, do this, do that to get a crop. The sun makes a crop, grows the corn, grows the soybeans, and then it produces soy or a food product, and we use that soy to produce electricity, food, several other things. I consider, whether I'm in favor or against, I consider it another crop. I consider they look nice, and if they're dangerous and they got cadmium in them, which they do have, but every day, if you're a farmer, you eat beef liver, beef kidneys, beef tongue. We've eaten it all our life, has more cadmium in it than several solar panels. They're not dangerous. I'm not talking about windmills. We're getting mixed up on the 300-foot from Van Buren. You can make it 3 mile or whatever you want to do. 3 mile is something that you're damaging people's decisions to make. You as one person or 10 people or 20 people are making that decision for, what, 4,000 or 5,000. And I don't agree with that. I agree that we can agree to disagree, but we should do it like ladies and gentlemen. Steve Wright and the other gentleman aren't here to defend herself, but if you want to say something to them, wait till they're here and say it to their face. But the other thing that if we're so scared of these solar systems, we picked up in the last 2 years, picked up from 700 counties to over 1,200 counties in the United States have put them in. There's been over 100 and some went bankrupt, and I know that. I've been in several businesses in my life, and a lot of them went. The people that were in them went bankrupt. But the interest rate, the cost of doing business, and 90-some% of them are on the West Coast in California. I mean, my point is that we can't stop progress. Half them taxes go to the county, half of it goes to the general fund. But pardon me. And okay. But they're not dangerous at all. If they were dangerous, why are we sending our kids to Eastbrook, Oak Hill, Madison Grant? And why weren't they protesting, sending the kids there because they're so dangerous? They're not. They're not dangerous. There's something new. We're always against progress. And all I want you to say is think for yourself. Don't let somebody influence you by telling you a lie or telling you this or telling you that. There was a great article, I recommend everybody reading it over the weekend in the USA Today, had both sides of the point. So if you get a chance, read it. And I won't have to, if I decide to put solar panels on my farm, I wouldn't have to go over it every time with a big tractor. I wouldn't need a big tractor. I don't have to go over it once, and I'm getting a crop every year, every day, wintertime. I don't get a crop off of it now in the wintertime. So anyway, that's how I feel. Thank you. And besides that, you guys did a hell of a job tonight.
Time is it? How are we doing? 9:09.
All right, we'll take one more. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like to respond to this gentleman. If I got something to say to Bardsley or Wright, I'll say it to their face. And you guys all know it. And if you want to see the truth, read the Epic Times. The Epic Times had a front page article, well, it started there, called Dominion, eminent domain on farm ground, on solar. What it actually said was the government, this administration that's tearing everything apart in America. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. And if you don't like me, that's fine. But I tell you what, I'm going to fight to save our farmland from solar till the day I die. And there'd be no question from anybody. But this plan is, they're planting solar in these states and these counties. It's government. The government is paying the people to sign up with our taxpayer money. And then their plan is to use eminent domain, and they can go anywhere they want on any farm ground. That's a fact. And
Is that a fact, Mr. Blackfield?
I don't think he's a U.S. government attorney.
He didn't hear you.
He said, is that a fact? Mr. Lickfield.
I haven't researched it. Mr. Brackett stating he has a right to do so, so.
Yeah.
There are examples, where these industrial solar plants have changed hands, and they've been bought by like Duke Energy. And then Duke Energy has been able, just like a highway or whatever, because they're a utility, to apply eminent domain.
Right.
And even when we had the review out at the high school, with the solar companies that were presenting, they did not deny that that was a possibility. They suggested, oh yeah, that probably won't happen, but they did not deny that that's a possibility.
The first meeting we had at the high school, one of the solar gals made a mistake. She said it'll be sold within a year. And I guess she got corrected, fired or something. But yeah, they can put anything down. Yeah, they'll fix our tile. Or they'll say they'll fix our tile. But it's up to commissioners to make sure that happens. And I'll guarantee you, they won't fix the tile. So that's just part of it.
I want to thank everyone for coming. I need a motion to adjourn.
I got one thing back there.
Okay, Frank?
About Bitcoin. Their light out there blinds you going down 100 at night. They got a security light. I mean, the last mile or so, they're going up to 600 on 100 going east. It blinds you.
Brian, will you take a look at that for us?
Will do.
Do it at night. It is bad.
Frank, which way is it?
It's pointing west. So if you leave town tonight, go out east. Yeah, about 100 north, go to 600 east.
Any other comments, commission members?
Daytime too. 24 hours.
Let's make a motion. Motion, Mr. Cottle, to adjourn. Second, Mr. Bothwell. Roll call.
Bothwell.
I can do it?
Cottle.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Excuse me, I need to be over here. Knuckles.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Pullen.
Yes.
Solt.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Todd.
You new guys gotta come back, ladies. You gotta come back.
You can say guys, it don't offend me.
No.